أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we'll start from ayah 209 and then we'll finish till ayah 220. Last week we did this few ayahs, and most of the ayahs was regarding the Hajj and its rulings. And also we talked about, just after the Hajj, we talked about a brand of people that Allah described, some qualities of the munafiqun, and what is the opposite quality of the muttaqin at that time. And the last thing that we finished, a comment from the believer, which was, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu udkhulu fis silmi kaffa, meaning, oh, who you believe, enter into Islam wholeheartedly, completely, enter into Islam completely, and wala tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan. So don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. And then Allah said, Innahu lakum aduwwun mubin, meaning that he is definitely your open enemy. So this was the last thing that we talked about in ayah 208. Now ayah 209, 10 and 11 is quite related with the ayah 208. So basically, as Allah said in ayah 208, that enter into Islam wholeheartedly and don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. Then Allah said that but if you deviate, meaning that Allah is saying the word deviate is called here zalaltum. Zalaltum is the same word. It's getting slipped. So you are walking on the path, and if you slipped away, that's what Allah talking about. And the same word Allah used in the story of the Adam and the Iblis. When Iblis tried to deviate Adam alayhi salam, and Adam alayhi salam stepped into the trap of the shaitan. It's the same word Allah used here, because the ayah before Allah talked about the shaitan. So shaitan's intention, as we mentioned last week, that he doesn't want that you completely become a mushrik or munafiqun. He wants little bit of you. So he wants that you sleep, you are in the right path, but slowly you give some time to the shaitan. Whatever shaitan is giving waswasa, you respond to them slowly. So Allah is saying even a little bit you should not give that way. And then Allah is saying that that in the next ayah Allah is questioning, I have given you the laws and everything in the surah, in the previous ayahs and everything. So what are you waiting for, basically? Allah is asking, do you want that Allah will come himself, or Allah will send angels to this world, and then you will start actioning on the things that I have told? Are you waiting for that? Because at that time, the Arab, even the Quraysh, they have some kind of weird question. They used to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that why can't we see Allah? If it's why don't you go to the sky, make a ladder and climb up to the sky and bring your wahi. We don't believe that Jibril is coming to you, whoever comes. So they wanted to this weird question. So Allah is saying here that are you still waiting for that? That I come and there's a word here. It says that I come and show you. Basically, it's this word meaning that I come and my angels come and attack you. Allah is saying that do you want the confrontation between me, my angels, and with you? Or you want to do the action that you are supposed to do. And then Allah tells that I have given you examples. Basically, Allah is saying that of Bani Israel. Allah is saying, ask the Bani Israel, that they're living in the Medina at that time. Ask the Bani Israel how many signs I have given you. And we already know that it's the same question, and Allah asking to us. People who are reading the Surah Al-Baqarah up to this point, we know that we have a whole heaps of ayah, almost more than 100 ayah about the different incident of Bani Israel. How many signs Allah give them, the clear proof, and still they rejected the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they moved away from the right path. So Allah is saying, look at the example of Bani Israel, ask them how many signs I give him, and Allah is saying at the end here that my favor, and whoever exchange my favor. What is Allah's favor here? By favor Allah means that the revelation, the Quran that Allah sent, that is the blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah sent him is blessings for us, because he is the teacher, he is the guide of us, he is the prophet of the last Rasul for the Ummah. So Allah is saying, whoever exchange my blessings, my favor, and take disbelief, take kufr, then they will be, they will have severe punishment at the last day. That's and Allah finishing this ayah 2:11 saying Allah is severe in penalty. So Allah is, when Allah give punishment, He will be a justice. There is no less punishment or anything for those people who won't follow the instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now in ayah number 212, Allah is saying, it's a very beautiful ayah. Allah is saying that this word, زُيِّنَ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا حَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. So Allah is saying this word, dunya, has been beautified for people who disbelieve, people of kufr. Now, the meaning of dunya, when you say dunya, we think the dunya is world, but dunya has another meaning. By literature meaning, dunya means something that is inferior, something that is low, something that is near to you. So, the world that we live in, there's another Arabic word, it's called alam. Alam means everything you see around you. The mountains, the trees, the fountains, the sky, and everything that we live in, all the creatures, it's called alam. Alam means everything around you. Dunya could be different for each of us. Meaning my dunya is involved with my wife, my children, my parents. These are my close relatives, my friends, my job, how I live my life, where I live, which country I live, which city. This is my dunya. Your dunya could be different. You have some different kind of friends, maybe different kind of brothers and sisters. So dunya is a different. So everybody's dunya is different if you talk in that point of view. And Allah is saying that this dunya is been beautified, is beautiful for those people who are disbeliever. Does it mean that it is not beautiful for the other people? No, it is also beautiful for the people who follow the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it is the point of looking and viewing. And Allah is saying those people who disbelieve, they make fun of you basically, and that is very common. Some people, the non-Muslim who say, why you have to pray 5 times? This is very hard for you. You have to wake up so early in the morning, and you have to go to the mosque and pray. This is too hard. Why the woman has to be covered up like this? All these things we see it in the newspaper. Different type of leaders, and from different countries. This is the women are suppressed or oppressed in Islam. This and this and this. So they don't understand. They make fun of us. And then Allah is saying, right away Allah is saying, but don't worry, people. And actually here Allah is saying it's a very interesting thing. That if you look at the ayah, Allah is saying that minan zinna amanu. So Allah is saying that they make fun of the people wallazina amanu. Allah, the people who disbelieve, they make fun with the people who have iman. Then right away Allah is saying that people who have taqwa, at the last part, those who fear Allah. Fearing Allah means at-taqwa, people who have fear Allah. Now having iman and fear Allah is two different things. You have to understand that. Allah could have said, the disbeliever make fun of the believer. But believer are above them on the day of judgment. Allah didn't say that. Allah said they make fun of the believer, but people who fear Allah, because if you have iman doesn't mean you have taqwa. You may have iman, but you may not have taqwa. You have to understand the difference. Taqwa means that you are always conscious of what you're doing. We know a lot of people, in our society, in our family, they are Muslim by name. They are following some things maybe, but not all the things. Maybe they are Juma Muslim, only comes to Juma prayer. There's some people, they only they goes to Eid prayers. So they have iman. If you ask them, do you believe in Allah and Rasul? They say, yes, I believe in La ilaha illallah. But they're busy. They don't have knowledge, or they are lazy about the deen. So just because you have iman doesn't mean you have taqwa. So Allah is saying, but people who have taqwa, they will be sitting literally on high places, and they can see the people burning in the hell basically, and then they will ridicule. There's a surah at the end of the Quran, it's called Surah Al-Mutaffifin, where Allah said that, that time they will be yadhakun, they will be making fun of the kuffar. They will ask the kuffar, what's happening to you now? You are the one in the world, you asked me to do this and do that, go to the party, do some, haram business or something. What's happening with you now? Why are you in this fire? So the Muslim, the muttaqi, at that time will be making fun and asking this question in the day of judgment. So Allah is giving consolation, this dunya is beautiful for those people, but don't worry. As long as if you have taqwa, Allah will make this world beautiful for you as you see it, and also beautiful in the last day. And at the end Allah says that Allah gives provision. Allah is the best to give rizq. Why Allah bring the rizq here? And Allah is talking is believer and non-believer here, and the taqwa here. Right away Allah is talking about the rizq, the provision. Because beautification happened through the provision, right? So if you see a Muslim brother who doesn't have proper rizq, he doesn't have a good job, so he's living a very low life, what do you feel like? You say you feel bad for him, you feel sad for him, because his rizq is limited. But the people who are driving BMW, Mercedes, and they don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have lots of monies and everything, Allah has given them everything. Allah has given them plenty of rizq. But Allah is saying, Allah can give rizq without any hisab. This is Allah's wisdom. So this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is mentioned in different places in Quran that the properties and everything, the wealth and money and risk is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a test, and you have to be abide by those things. Ayah number 213, Allah is talking about all these things, just giving a reminder that how this thing happened. Allah is saying that all these people, the human being, the human society was only one ummah. At the beginning, everything was only one ummah. Then I have sent different Rasul with the truth, and they give the glad tidings to the people. And also after the giving the glad tidings, people differ. Some people say, no, we don't want to follow you, we don't want to accept you, we don't want to be guided through the guidance you are giving. And then the division happened. So some people become believer, some people disbeliever. So Allah is basically giving a reminder that how it all started. So at the beginning, there's a group of people, they are one ummah, and then when they get divided depending on the revelation. A lot of stories in the Quran, you see that they accept the Prophet themselves. They said, yes, you are a good person, you are a person of righteousness, but what you are saying to follow us, we're not going to follow you. We're going to follow whatever our forefather used to follow. So Allah is giving the idea, and also Allah is saying here, the people who has the knowledge, meaning people who has knowledge, they are the one who become Baghiyan. Baghiyan, a word Baghiyan in Arabic is very harsh word. Baghiyan means one kind of arrogance or jealousy inside you, which is very strong. And for this jealousy, you can do anything. And Allah is saying those people with the knowledge, they want to manipulate the knowledge, and they become Baghiyan, and that's why they are not in the straight path. And then Allah is saying only Allah can give permission for the guidance. As you all know, the guidance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is the one who can lead you to the Siratul Mustaqim, the straight path. Now, these two ayah is about, again, Allah is saying that, some laws for the Muslim again. Allah is saying at the beginning, actually, Am hasibutum, as hasibutu tadkhulul Jannah. Allah is saying, do you think that you're going to go to Jannah like this? Allah is talking to the Sahaba. Just imagine the life of the Sahaba and life of that we are living now. But still Allah talking to them. Do you think by doing all these things that you did a hijrah from Makkah to Medina, now you are in Medina, you're sharing your house, your everything with the Ansar, you don't have your own property here, nothing. And by only doing this, you think you're going to go to Jannah? Allah is talking to Sahaba, and imagine what is with us, they have a very hard life at that time. Still Allah is saying, no, this is not enough. This is not enough that you're going to do this and you're going to go to the Jannah. And then Allah is saying, the people before you, they had gone through a lot of troubles, lot of trials, and they have been tested with their wealth and money and all these things. Even the Prophet among them, they were so much, stressed out and tired out. They asked the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, when is your help coming? When is your help coming? Even the prophets at that time. But then Allah said, but don't worry, Allah's help is near for the people who believe in this. And then Allah is saying that they ask you about where we should spend. So when Allah talk about this thing, Sahaba, they already had an idea that Allah is telling us that the life we are leading, we are praying behind Rasulullah, we are coming to the masjid, we are building the masjid of Rasulullah, that this is the early Madani time, right? So they are doing all these things Rasulullah is saying, but they haven't still went to the jihad. The battle of Badr hasn't happened yet. They just did the hijrah, they are establishing themselves in Medina. Then they thought that we have money. So Allah is saying that the life we are leading is not enough to go to Jannah, so what should you do with your money? So they ask a question to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, what should you do with your money? Then Allah gives a command that yes, use your money to help your parents, to help your relatives, and do any kind of good. Whatever you do good, Allah is known ever that. And by saying that Allah knows everything, it means that Allah is saying when you do something good, you don't need to announce it to everyone. Keep it to yourself. Allah knows what you're doing, what is your intention. So that is the thing Allah is saying about the money here. The next two ayahs, Allah is saying here that Kutiba alaykumul kitalu. So this is the ayah about the jihad basically. The same type ayah style we had the Kutiba alaykumus siyam. We went through last week that Allah said, I have written, I have prescribed the fasting for you. Now Allah is saying, I have prescribed the qital for you. And right away Allah is saying, the qital, the fighting, you don't like it. I know by human nature, nobody wants to fight, Doesn't matter how strong are you, how brave are you, still you want to avoid fighting. So Allah is saying that, but perhaps you hate fighting, but you don't know what is good for you. Some things you can think that is good for you, but it is bad for you. And some things you think it is bad for you, but it is good for you. And this statement is very important because, this is happening in our life also, Sometimes we think that this job is very good for me. this is the best job, but maybe there's some haram involved that we don't know, and we lose the job, we become so helpless and so sad. But there is some good in it. We are doing some project and our project is stuck. Something happened. We couldn't go further, and we have so many hope around this project or something that we're trying to do, but we couldn't do it. Allah gives some difficulties, but that is a good for us. Allah subhanahu wa taala. So Allah is making sure. Remember that Allah knows what is good for you, not that you know that it is what is good for you. So you do your best. If you have been stopped by Allah subhanahu wa taala, that is good for you, and that's why Allah is saying that qital looks like it is something that bad, but it is the time that it is necessary for you. And if you think like that way, if the Sahaba didn't do jihad at that time, they'll be finished, because Quraysh is attacking and everything. It's only 300 people Muslim. If they didn't fight, the Quraysh will come and finish everybody. So Islam will never ever go. And remember also that Rasulullah is the last prophet. There's no other prophet coming. All other prophets before, at the same time, maybe there's sometimes two prophets, or one prophet died, then few hundred years passed away, or maybe few years passed away, there's another prophet came. So there's a chance of another people coming and giving guidance to this world or to that nation. But for us, Rasulullah is the last one. So he has to be physically established, his law and everything, in his lifetime. If he didn't do that, the deen won't be established. So that's why this is important here. And then Allah they ask about the sacred month, because when the fighting comes, Arab used to also fight between the tribes, but they didn't used to fight about the sacred months we talked about before. There are 4 months, they didn't used to fight in these 4 months. They used to think this is a sacred month, but what they used to do, because of their criminal mind, they used to change the month. So suppose, they said, we're not going to fight in July, August and September. But this year when the July comes, they say, no, this is not July, this is October now, or this is November now. So they change this month according to their will. So Allah is saying, and this is something called nasi, and this is kufr basically. But Allah is saying that yes, fighting in those months, the 4 months that I have told you, it is a great sin in fighting in that. But remember, if those people who are doing kufr in Makkah, they are doing greater sin. This is a sin also, but shirk is a more greater sin, and these people not letting other people to come to Masjid al-Haram and everything, this is a more greater thing. So, and these people will fight you anytime they wish. So be ready, if they fight you, you have to fight with them. Doesn't matter in which month it is fight for them. And then at the end Allah is saying that, if someone dies in disbelief, in kufr, he will be in the hellfire forever. That's the common thing that Allah said. This ayah is saying, Allah is saying that indeed those who have believed and those who have immigrated, so Allah is talking about the muhajir, basically the Muslim first, the one who believed, and the one who did hijrah, and also the one who fought in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those can expect mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is saying this kind of people, these 3 actions, the people who believe, of course you have to be a believer first, and then who do hijrah. Now hijrah doesn't mean from Makkah to Medina only. In this ayah, the tafsir of this ayah says, hijrah means anything, the Rasulullah said in a hadith that, hijrah means that anything that Allah doesn't like, you leave that. So you have some addiction, you have something that you are affected with that. When you leave it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you say, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm leave this job because this is a haram job, I'm not going to do it. This is a haram relationship, I'm not going to continue this relationship anymore. This is haram. So if you leave that thing, you change yourself from that, that is also hijrah. You're doing hijrah inside yourself. So this is also mentioned here, that this is and you fight for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically you're fighting with yourself also. It is only fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means 2 things, in the jihad, and also you're fighting yourself, that you're not going to be, you're controlling yourself, that whatever you used to do before, you're stopping it and coming back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah said this kind of people are the real candidate of receiving the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last 2 ayah for today, they ask you about the wine and gambling. Now, why after that ayah, the ayah that we talked about just now, that the believer and people who fall in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are the one, will have the mercy. So when this ayah was recited to the Sahaba think, what can I do hijrah from? Because I already did hijrah. Also the Ansar, the people in Medina, they don't need to do hijrah, right? They are in Medina now. So their thing is, what this hijrah means? And the hijrah means that, you leave something that you like. So that's why they ask, because at that time, gambling and wine is very popular in that society. Gambling and wine is very popular in the society. And this is the famous ayah that you all know, that, the prohibition of wine was done in 3 steps. So this is the first step. This ayah is the first step. Allah is saying that, they ask you, so Sahaba ask you about the wine and gambling, say, in them it is a great sin. Now, this ayah is one of the ayah that has been mistranslated and misunderstood a lot of time. A lot of people say, Allah said at the beginning that, yes, wine and gambling has more harm than benefit. But it's not about harm. Allah said it has more sin, meaning more, in plain language, if you say in guna, like if you say guna, or something bad, something evil is that. There's two words in Arabic, one called darra. Darra means harm. That if you had an accident, you harm yourself, your hand broken, it's harm, darra. Or someone beat you, you're harmed. So that is called darra, and the opposite of darra is nafa. From nafa it comes munafa. You know the word munafa. Munafa means profit, right? So these are the two words. So Allah didn't say darra and munafa here. Allah said sin, ismun. Basically Allah is saying that in wine and gambling it is obviously evil. There's no doubt about it. It's evil. But there are some benefit, some munafa in this. What kind of munafa? Not munafa your physical things. Like nowadays, a lot of even Muslim people, they say, yeah, wine has some benefits and this is good for heart and all these things. But Allah never say these things. Allah said it is bad. The munafa, because you can make a lot of money by doing gambling, easy money. Also, you can sell wine. That is also easy money. So that kind of munafa Allah is talking about here. That it is completely evil, but there are benefits, which benefits means the monetary benefit or something like this. And Allah is saying that that Allah makes clear to this verse. So Allah making very clear that you should avoid those evil. And just after that, Allah is saying here, and they ask you about the orphan also. So what basically Allah is saying, and look at this, there's another question in ayah number 19. After they ask about the wine and gambling, and Allah is saying that no, this is sinful, and there are very, very little benefit, as I said like this way. Then they ask you what they should spend. We just asked this question before. Before also Sahaba asked, what should you do with your money? Now if you stop gambling and wine, if you stop gambling, so you're saving some money, right? Because imagine a Sahaba, he is into the wine, he is into the gambling. So now he stopped that because Allah said they're evil. So if you stop the gambling and wine, obviously you're saving some money. Because in last month, every month I used suppose $100 in gambling. But now I have stopped it. That's why Allah, that extra money that we have now, what should we do now? So they are asking, see Sahaba, that's why they are the best nation, to be honest. When they listen to an ayah from Rasulullah, they immediately think what Allah is asking, what Allah wants from us. What should we do with this? They ask so many questions. As soon as Allah says you stop gambling and wine, they think, okay, now I will have some extra money. So what should I do with that money? And Allah is saying again, with that money, do whatever good you can do. So do the best you can do with that money. And just after that, Allah is saying, because previously Allah said, spend your money for the parents, spend your money for the good deeds. Now is Allah talking about the orphan. Allah is talking about the orphan because now you have the extra money. An orphan is not related to you. If you sponsor an orphan, if you take care of an orphan, it is an extra thing you are doing. He's not from your family, that's why he's an orphan, right? So that extra money, do something extra. And what is the extra thing? Allah is saying, look after the orphan. They ask you about the orphan, and they say the improvement in them is the best. And if you mix with, and Allah is saying that, because that time, when you take an orphan inside your house, he comes with some property. Suppose, one Sahaba became a shaheed in the battle, or he passed away, and he has so many children. Those children will have some property from their parents, inherited properties. Now you bring that child in your house as an orphan, you're taking care of him. It is allowed that you use their money to raise them up. So for his school you need $500 a month. So you can use the $500 from his property. But if you mix it up, those $500, suppose $2 or $5 you use for yourself, then it will be a problem. So the Sahaba was so much careful that they're asking Rasulullah, how should we raise them? Because we can mix it up. They have only one pot of food. And they're making some meat. This meat I will eat and the orphan will eat. So maybe I'm taking something from his portion. So how it will be done? So Allah is saying, don't worry about too much. Allah is saying here that Allah knows the heart, the corrupt heart. So Allah is saying, I know the intention. So don't worry about, I don't want to make it difficult for you. Allah is saying here that Allah knows the heart, what our heart wants, what is your intention. So that should be fine. And indeed, Allah is exalted and mighty and wise. Allah is saying at the end, Allah is the Ghafurur Rahim, and also Allah is the Al-Ala, that Allah knows everything. So yes, you take care of the orphan, and don't worry about the mixing the thing. As long as you have good intention, yes, sometimes it could be mixed up, but you should have a like in a pure mind to raise up an orphan. So inshallah ta'ala we'll finish it here today. Next week we'll go from some other ayahs. Jazakallahu khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.